Today's video, we're doing force plate testing. What's up guys, this is Dan for Fitness Pain Free. I'm a physical therapist and strength coach. We've helped to make thousands of incredible clinicians through online courses, mentoring programs, and communities. Goal of today's video, to make you 1% better. So force plates are kind of new in the world of physical therapy, and that's a little unfortunate because they're obviously a really good tool for physical therapists. We can use them for criteria-based testing to see if your athlete is ready for the next level function. We can also use the objective data for jump testing to see if we're doing really well left to right, and also can be very valuable to give us feedback about how we should program for our athletes. So in today's video, I'm basically going to go over how I've been using it for the past year or so. One of the first things I've been using the force plates for is to get a little biofeedback for patients after major surgery, once they're starting to weight bear a little bit more on that limb that just had a fresh surgery. So essentially, we have Jacob here, he's staying on the force plates, and essentially if he shifts from left side to right side, he can see how much weight he's putting on his right versus his left, and make sure he's putting the prescribed amount on that. The next thing I love to do is a squat. So we can squat in two things. So the force plates are obviously going to give us data about how much weight he has on his left side versus right side, but also real-time feedback so Jacob can see, oh, it looks like I'm not putting enough weight on my left side, just had surgery there, let's try to put a little more weight there. And over the course of time, you can also add weight, you can test like a 5 rep max squat on there, it's good stuff. I also like to do the same thing for deadlifts and hinges. So we want to build a little bit of symmetry in our deadlift early on. It's a great way to do it. So show me a few hinges here, Jacob. Yep, and just like we were talking about before with the squat, you can see if there's more weight towards the left side versus the right side, and eventually we can load up, all good stuff there. Next, we'll get into some jumping. I like to do some double-legged jumps and some single-legged jumps, and we're looking for two types of jumps. So the first is going to be a countermovement jump, which assesses a longer ground contact time jump. And usually, longer ground contact time jumps are going to more accurately reflect agility and change of direction, other jumping within sport. We also want to assess a shorter ground contact jump with plyometrics, where largely it's very fast and very bouncy. So folks will sometimes be limited with longer ground contact time jumps and sometimes with shorter ground contact time jumps. We can assess and see what the limitations are and then program accordingly.
So I hope you're ready for your head to blow up, in a good way, of course, because I have something that you're going to love. It's an evidence-based cheat sheet for ACL injuries. Staying up to date on the literature is a pain in the butt, and my butt hurts, but yours doesn't have to, because I've done the work and going out there and reviewing the literature. I've taken all the good stuff and none of the fluffy stuff and condensed it into a nice little cheat sheet. My promise to you is I'm going to catch you up to date on the latest literature on these ligament injuries in under 10 minutes. These babies are action-packed, but not too packed. We go over prevalence and incidence, common populations with this injury, anatomy, mechanism of injury, clinical examination, differential diagnosis, and all the different treatments, conservative and surgical. Best of all, this bad boy is free. So I'm going to leave a link in the description. Go ahead and click on that and download it. My promise, I want to catch you up to date in under 10 minutes. I hope you enjoy. Now, back to the learning.
First, it's called a counter movement jump. So this is assessing for a longer ground contact time. Essentially, we have Jacob here, hands on the hips. And my cues are to jump as high as you possibly can. Are you ready for it? Ready. Go ahead for it, Jacob. Boom, good. And then take a breather. What happens is that, yep, the force plates assess and see. And they can tell if there's more weight on one side. It gives you an incredible amount of data. But largely what we're looking for is how high are they jumping, how much force is he producing into those plates. For shorter ground contact time measurement, we look at a hop test. And essentially, the goal of this is to spend very little time on the ground and to jump as high as you can. So we're gonna do 10 jumps in a row, hands on the hips. Go ahead for this one, Jacob. Hop, 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 hop. Yep, looking for 10. Good. You got it. And then once you finish up, yep, it measures the jump and we get the data. So largely we're looking for a few things. These hop tests, we want to see a very short ground contact time. So we're looking for 250 milliseconds or lower. For a lot of post-surgical patients, they won't be able to hit that initially. So it's a good goal to see that get lower and lower over the course of time. And largely, we're looking for a short ground contact time, but also a higher jump. So the first time we do this, we can see symmetry side to side, and over the course of time, we're going to see if we're spending less time on the plates and if we're getting higher. So those are our two goals for this jump. And generally speaking, this shouldn't be the first time you jump with your athlete after they have a fresh injury or surgery. You usually want to see about 2 to 4 weeks of different jumps in the program before I consider testing this. So take a look over here at Jacob's vertical jump. If you want to improve his vertical jump, just like the video. So we actually get some pretty good data about asymmetries left to right by double-legged jumps, but I also like to look at single-legged jumping. We do the same exact tests on one leg. So largely, we had the single-legged counter movement jump, assessing ground contact times that are a little bit longer. Go ahead and show me one of those, Jacob. Big jump, nice landing, very good. Let's see if it grabbed your data. Excellent, pretty good. The next one is going to be a short ground contact time assessment, doing a hop test on one leg. This is a pretty challenging test. Make sure your athlete's appropriate for it. But go ahead and give it a shot here, Jacob. Yep, 10 jumps. My cues are a little bit different. So largely I want Jacob to jump as fast as he can, so as fast as he can off the ground and as high as he can at the same time. Yep, looks like we grabbed the data there. So here's the thought process. In sport, we have a variety of ground contact times. So if I'm sprinting top end, usually that's a very short ground contact time. If I'm jumping, if I'm changing direction, if I'm accelerating, usually that's going to be a longer ground contact time. So the reason why we choose short and long ground contact jumps is because we want to see where deficits lie with our athletes. And essentially, if we're a little bit worse with a short ground contact time jump, we want to spend more time and effort working on that. And what's really neat is not only are we assessing initially to see where the deficits are, we can see if our programming is appropriate and see if they're making progress. And over the course of time, we can change our programming based on how well they do on either jump. We also may be able to use this data for criteria-based progressions for athletes or return to sport. Maybe 90% symmetry on these jumps would be a good indication the athlete is ready for the sport. However, I don't think we have good data to show. We're not validating the force plate testing yet to show athletes are safe if they can pass these tests, but it's just a cool idea, and hopefully more research will tell us whether or not this is true in the future. Just keep in mind that single-legged maximal jumps are tough on an athlete's fresh injury, and that's why we usually introduce plyometrics and then start with double-legged jump testing, and then we do a few more weeks of training plyometrics, single leg, and then introduce the single-legged testing on the force plates. Make sure you don't do this all at once and hurt your athlete. So now that you know how to test with the force plates and you're noticing someone has a deficit somewhere, you need some good plyometrics to work those deficits up so they can return back to sport safely. I have a great video for you. Leave it link in the corner. Goes over my favorite plyometric progression, start with easy jumps and then very hard jumps. I'll see you there.